Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Streaming December 12th on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back.
That's hot. Loves it.
For a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special, streaming December 12th, only on Peacock.
Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me once again as guest curator is Patreon mixtaper Tom Hutchinson. Tom, welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you, Brian. It's always a pleasure. I love listening, and I love being a part of this, and this is going to be a fun episode for me and you.
Yeah, we are going to have a lot of fun tonight, because tonight we're going to be talking about 2 very popular topics on past My Weekly Mixtape episodes, and that is punk rock mixes and workout mixes. So what I'm going to do is merge them together to create, well, the ultimate punk rock workout mixtape. Uber creative, right? Now, Tom, what were you looking for the songs that you brought in your bank of tunes for this evening from both a punk rock and workout perspective?
So with me, working out, I play hockey. I like real heavy, fast, drawn-out music, but I don't like it to be too long, 2.5, 3 minutes. So punk rock is perfect for that. Also, I was on the Tony Hawk episode, and a lot of that music was punk-based, and it's what I've listened to since I was a kid. So I have a mix of songs that are near and dear to me that I grew up listening to that got me into this genre. And then I have songs that I have on my playlist when I'm in the locker room for hockey. So there's a mix of both. It's a good mix of that I brought to the table tonight.
And with mine, in a similar fashion, a lot of these songs are what I listen to now when I'm doing cardio or doing my weight workouts. But a lot of these songs were also the tunes I listened to when I was getting ready to head out onto the football field in high school and in college. So some of these play a dual role, with the newer tunes in my fold being stuff that I've listened to more often during the cardio portion of my workouts now. I like that fast, upbeat stuff, the stuff that you're trying to keep your feet going to the beat, trying to keep those BPMs up to keep your heart rate going. So I think punk rock is the perfect avenue for a good cardio workout, and I hope I'm able to represent that tonight. And I know, judging by the songs you picked on that Tony Hawk episode, that you're going to be bringing the heat as well.
I definitely have a few here that I think are going to surprise some people, and they're going to go, really? You didn't pick this, or you picked that instead? I know I'm going to make a few enemies with this, but I have some good stuff that hopefully people are going to go, yeah, that's a pretty kick-ass song.
And I'm hoping I can make the same convincing arguments for the songs I picked as well. So with that, let's get down to business. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Tom and I will be curating the ultimate punk rock workout mixtape, and we'll use the old cassette deck approach. Tom, as my special guest, will begin with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Tom choosing second. Our overall goal for the episode is to craft the best punk rock workout mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you could take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or, as Tom has so graciously done, becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to upcoming episodes, chime in on future topics, become a guest curator, and so much more. And a few of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with songs they would use to kick things off tonight, and I want to give a shout out to a few of those. Sean Goff chimed in with Against Me's Transgender Dysphoria Blues, saying not only is it a kick-ass song with some real attitude, but that Laura Jane Grace is awesome. Chad Lamassa chimed in with the Subway's Rock and Roll Queen, saying he feels this band is criminally underrated. Chris Pazika chimed in with Rancid's Roots Radicals, and Philip Bergman chimed in with The Clash's Train in Vain, Stand By Me. Once again, if you'd like to chime in for future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, come join the fellow mixtapers at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting. Go to your happy place for a happy price with Priceline's Black Friday sale. Save now and travel later with our best deals of the year.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Shop Blinds.com Cyber Monday sales event now for some of the best deals of the season. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 50% site-wide, plus doorbusters and a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
So, Tom, with that said, I'm officially pressing the record button on our mixtape, and the floor is yours. What song are you kicking off our punk rock workout mixtape with?
Well, first off, the mixtapers got it going on tonight. They had a couple good suggestions. Against Me is a really good one to start. And I love The Clash, and Train of Vain's my favorite Clash song. So good picks on that one. But I'm going to go off the beaten path. You know, I'm going to kick it off big with the song that is big to me and it gets me going, something that's in my workout mix. And it comes from a band called the Smut Peddlers, and it's Buck Naked on a Big Wheel. Now this song, I remember it being in a motocross video as a kid. I want to say it's Terra Firma. And I remember hearing it for the first time and being like, that is a funny song. Like, I laughed about it, but it got me like in a headspace that I was like, this is awesome. And it slowly started turning gears for 7-year-old me to get into more and more punk rock music. And to this day, Smut Peddlers is one of my favorite bands. They put on a wonderful live show, I was going to say, and I think that's a great kickoff. It's fast, it's hard, and it's just an easy song to enjoy.
Loud, obnoxious, perfect. From 1995's Failure, Down a Huge Hill, 100 Feet to Go, Lift Your Feet or Lose a Toe. I mean, you can't get better than this. Now, however, while this is perfect for a punk rock song, it might not be the best workout routine suggestion, but to those that are listening, I mean, you do you. And if the name of this band sounds familiar, but you're not sure why, their music is kind of intertwined with Jackass as well, because their song Let's Get Effed Up is featured on the Jackass 1 soundtrack. And I think it's If You're Gonna Be Dumb is featured on the Jackass 2 soundtrack, and they also have a bunch of songs on the game soundtrack as well as episodes on the MTV show. So these might be, if you go down the Smut Peddlers rabbit hole, these might be songs that you know, but you don't know, especially if you watch Jackass.
100%. I was going to say their actually first two albums, they re-released as like a compilation, and Jackass pulled, I think, out of the like 30 plus songs, like 7 or 8 songs from it. So if you've seen the movies, the TV shows, even Viva La Bam, anything that has to do with the Jackass crew, you've heard the Smut Peddlers. You just probably don't know it.
Well, following that up, I'm going to stick with this kind of raw vibe we got going here. And I'm going to go all the way back to 1982 with my first pick of the night. And I'm going to go off of an album cover art that I drew on so many of my paper bag book covers, because kids, back when I was at high school, you had to wrap your textbooks with inside out paper bags and tape. And I can't tell you how many of my textbooks in high school and in college had Milo from the Descendants' Milo Goes to College album on my textbooks because, well, one, it's pretty easy to draw. But from that album, the Descendants love to use the suffix age in their songs and in their titles. For example, Tonyage, Myage, and their live album Liveage are 3 examples. However, I'm not going with any of those. I am going to go with the song Bikeage, which is a tune about a drug-addicted prostitute. Real happy, upbeat music we got going here. With the bike reference meaning, and I'm going to channel Austin Powers here, she's the village bicycle. Everybody's had a ride. At this time in their career, Descendants were aggressive, raw, and they, just like the Smut Peddlers, wore their sense of humor on their sleeves. Because you think about songs like Wiener Schnitzel, which if you're a movie person, you might remember from the Pump Up the Volume film, not on the soundtrack, but in the film, or I Like Food, which Taking Back Sunday covered on the Tony Hawk American Wasteland soundtrack. And if you recall, Tom and I talked about that one on episode 65, the Ultimate Tony Hawk Pro Skater Soundtracks playlist. This, however, Bikeage is my favorite Descendants song. And then you add the fact, depending on what you started with, I could have went in 2 directions here. I went with the raw Descendants version, but I could have very easily just went 1 year behind you and pulled Face to Face's cover from their 1994 album, Big Choice. You can't go wrong with either version, but I think I'm going to stick with the original here because it works really well being back to back with Smut Peddlers. Not to mention, you've got big wheels and now you've got bikes.
I mean, it's a match made in heaven, and I'm so happy you brought up the Face to Face version because I love Face to Face. Great band. It's one of those bands that doesn't get enough love. So I'm glad you brought it up. But the Descendants were just so raw at this time, and it was such a different point of view. And they changed a lot over the years, but it's still just so beautiful of what they were doing at the time. But I am also going to go with a very, very raw band. We're going to stay in the 80s here, but I'm going to kind of make a little bit of a turn. So I'm going to go with a Dead Kennedy song that was performed once at the Bay Area Music Awards as kind of a middle finger to everybody in the crowd. And that is Pull My Strings. This is my favorite Dead Kennedy song because Jello just stopped caring about what everybody says and even opens it up with, we're not a punk rock band, we're a new wave band, as the big FU to everybody that brought them to this awards show. And it's a fun song. It's not safe for work, but it has a good beat. It gets fast, it gets slow. You know, if you're lifting weights, this is a song I lift weights to. You know, this is just one of those songs. And I think it fits well behind the Descendants and really takes this mixtape to the next level.
That it does, from 1987's Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death compilation. The only album you can find it on, a live recording from March 25th, 1980. Hold it. We got to prove we're adults now. I love this song. And Tom is very, very right. It is not safe for work. You've heard our warnings. If you listen to it at work and get in trouble, Tom and I are not responsible. And this also, 2 out of 3 now, bands we talked about on the Tony Hawk soundtracks episode. But I'm not going to say if this Dead Kennedys song made the mix or not, but we definitely talked Dead Kennedys on the Tony Hawk episode.
100% we did, I was going to say, and that was Police Truck we used on that. So another one of my personal favorites, not to spoil it for everybody, but
but you're spoiling it. Why not?
It's just one song. We don't know where it's at. They'll have to listen to the episode and figure it out.
Well, going on from the Dead Kennedys, I have 4 songs from this band in my bank right now, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to pull from. Because my favorite album from this band is 1994 Stranger Than Fiction. Yes, I'm talking Bad Religion here. But you could conceivably go with A Walk off The Gray Race, or Punk Rock Song, or Incomplete off of Stranger Than Fiction, or the re-recorded 21st Century Digital Boy. But I think I'm going to go back 1 year from Stranger Than Fiction and go off of 1993's Recipe for Hate. This was Bad Religion's first charting album in the US. It hit number 14 on Billboard's Heatseekers chart, and it also hit the charts in Germany, reaching number 34, and Finland, where it reached number 29. I could go with the 2 singles from the album, American Jesus or Struck a Nerve, even though neither of them charted. They were all over MTV, but when it comes to workout songs, I don't think you can get any more intense than the title track, Recipe for Hate. And following up the Dead Kennedys, I think that's where we got to go from here. Bad Religion, Recipe for Hate.
I was going to say that's kind of the kick in the leg, kicking the butt you need to get rolling. I was going to say it's a good follow-up, and it works well with the Dead Kennedys. And I love Bad Religion. I was going to say American Jesus is my personal favorite. But good choice here, Brian. I really, really think that's going to work really well.
It's going to make you work up a sweat, because if you try running to the BPM of that song, you're getting the workout going. You can't cool down to this song.
Not at all. And that's kind of where I'm going with my next one. So this is going to be tough, because I feel, there's a follow-up, and I can go 2 ways with this. Both are Tim Armstrong projects, so you can't be mad about it. You know what? I'm going to pick Transplants here, and this might make some people a little sad, but I'm going to go Tall Cans in the Air. This is just a song that I ride when I go to the gym. This is a song that I get on the bike to, and it just gets me a little angry, and I hate to ride the bike. I hate to run, but it gets me moving. And, there's a lot of fun parts that are also not safe to work to sing in this song. So that's another thing that gets me going.
From their self-titled 2002 album, we got Distillers, AFI, LFB, and Crystal Sound, Transplants or Fearless, and the most original, yes, original, because it rhymes with sound, Tall Cans in the Air, Let Me See 'Em, blank, blank. The album hit number 96 on the Billboard 200, and Tall Cans in the Air is actually the B-side to their single Diamonds and Guns. If you ask me, it's the better of the 2, as much as I love Diamonds and Guns, so bravo on the pick. Blink-182's Travis Barker lays down a ridiculous beat in this one, and then you add Rancid's Tim Armstrong and Rob Aston to the fold. You get one of the most unique and original punk albums, maybe of the decade.
Oh, for sure. I was going to say that. I would say even possibly all time. I was going to say, to me, I love Rancid, don't get me wrong, but this Transplants album for me is better than Operation Ivy. This is the album. This is something that I absolutely could listen to over and over again and never get sick of. And like you said, Travis Barker's drum beat is what is just so infectious about this song.
Following that up, you see, that kind of gives me a clean slate here because there's a little bit of everything in the Transplant sound. But I think what I'm going to do is stay in 2002 because when I discovered the Transplants album, I also discovered this other band around the same time. And I was listening to both albums back and forth and back and forth. And I honestly can't decide between the two which ones I like more. But this band's a little bit more straight ahead punk rock with Chris Woolard, Chuck Reagan, George Rebello, and Jason Black, featuring additional guitars from Brian Baker of the before mentioned Bad Religion. I am going to go with Hot Water Music and their 2002 album, Caution. Now, Tom, being the Tony Hawk fan you are, you might know the opening track Remedy from Tony Hawk's Underground, but I'm actually going to go with the Chris Woolard penned Trusty Chords. Quite possibly my favorite Hot Water Music song, and maybe one of my favorite punk rock songs ever. This band is so incredibly consistent. They're still going strong to this day. Their latest album, 2024's Vows, easily makes my albums of the year list for 2024. But Trusty Chords, oh my God, there's just such a drive and such an intensity to it. And you just want to sing along with it. And it just keeps that exact vibe going out of the Transplants into this song. And I feel like the energy is just still hitting 10, 10, 10, 10 with every song we've picked so far. So following up the Transplants, Trusty Chords from Hot Water Music.
It's a song I completely forgot about until you just brought it up. It's been a long time since I've heard that, and that is a great song.
Nice.
That actually fits really well after Transplants. So that's going to give me a curveball here.
I mean, Gaslight Anthems has done it live. A lot of bands have covered it. To me, it gives you that little bit of inspiration, I guess you would say. Because to me, Hot Water Music is a very inspirational punk band of the modern era, let's say.
100%. And I think that's going to really throw my next pick. Another band that tries to do the same thing. And that's Rise Against, one of my personal favorites. And I'm actually going to go with their 2004 single, Give It All. Now, this song matches the energy. I mean, it's up there. It's very, very fast paced. It has a good message. You know, just one of my personal favorite songs. And I had it between that and Prayer of the Refugee, and Give It All fits a lot better with Trusty Chords. And it's going to come out not only with a good message, which you're going to feel good. You're starting to kind of wind down your workout. You might not be pushing as hard, but you want to give it all.
From 2004's Rock Against Bush compilation with a different version appearing on the same year's Siren Song of the Counterculture, this was Rise Against's breakthrough single. It actually reached number 37 on the Billboard US Alternative Songs chart, and without this song making the impact it did, I don't think you get 2006's The Sufferer and the Witness, which is where I had pulled a couple of songs from, being Injection and Ready to Fall. I had those in my bank, but I think you went with a perfect song going with Give It All. And I'm feeling this 2000s punk vibe we got going here. So I'm going to stay in this vibe. And I'm going to stay in 2006 because along with The Sufferer and the Witness from Rise Against, I also had a New Jersey band represented from the same year. And I am going to go with another group you and I talked about on episode 65, the Tony Hawk Soundtracks episode. And I also talked about on episode 10, the Ultimate 2000s Punk Rock playlist, and that is the Bouncing Souls. Now, I'm going to go with a different song than I talked about on those other episodes, and I'm not going to spoil what that song is. I'm going to leave it floating in the punk rock atmosphere. So if you want to go back and find out if you're a Bouncing Souls fan, you'll have to do that. But I'm going to go with the quasi-title from their 2006 album, The Gold Record, and I'm going to go with The Gold Song. You're going to hear that bottle jingling on the ground before the song kicks in. The album was actually released, I'll never forget this, on June 6th, 2006, which was 666, which the band referred to this album as the release of the beast. Little nod to Iron Maiden there. This song, if you think we were calming down a little bit during Give It All, this is going to get you going back up to full throttle. This is kind of the interval workout we're doing here, and we're going to kick it up to 10, and you're going to be chanting the Haze along with the band and getting that heart rate up, because this song just, every time it comes on, even if I'm tired, it gets my adrenaline going. It gets me excited. It makes me happy. It makes me want to work out more. It definitely kicks the adrenaline up a notch for me. So Bouncing Souls, the gold song.
Which, perfect pick for it. And I love the Bouncing Souls. I was going to say Comet is one of my favorite songs altogether. Mm-hmm. It's just such a great song, and the ending guitar riff in Comet's fantastic. But the gold song, a great song. But we want to keep rolling. And what better than do this with Blink-182? But I'm going to go old Blink-182, talking Dude Ranch. So before Travis Barker, when Scott was still in the band. And I'm not going to go with Damn It. That's not what I want to do. Everybody loves that song. I am going to go with Josie. Josie, nice. To me, is just a punk rock song through and through, fast paced. Let's go. Here's the lyrics. And the music video always cracks me up. I was going to say Mark's got purple hair, and I believe Tom has orange or red hair in the music video. I mean, it's straight 90s punk before they really made it big in who they were. And it's probably my favorite Blink-182 song to this day.
This was the last single that featured Scott Rayner for Blink-182. I got to admit, Travis Barker holds it down when he plays it live, but this is a classic Blink song. It actually reached number 50 on the U.S. Alternative Radio and Records chart and number 31 on the Australia ARIA chart. So this one actually helped pave the way for Enema of the State. And I don't think, just like I mentioned with Rise Against, I don't think you get to Enema of the State if Damn It and Josie don't hit. Because Cheshire Cat in 95 didn't make much of a dent. This was kind of the start of what would become Blink-182's kind of legacy, at least in terms of mainstream success.
100%. I mean, they had M&M's off the first album, and it wasn't a huge hit. But if you watch the music video, I believe Alyssa Milano is also in the Josie music video too, which was a huge name at the time in the mid to late 90s, which kind of brought them mainstream, popularity. They were getting on MTV, and they were 120 minutes back in the day they would be on. So that's exactly what helped them. And I think kind of robbing Travis from the Aquabats also kind of helped. I mean, he's still in the band how many years later? So that worked out for the best. Scott left, and they robbed Travis. So
I was going to say bravo on the way to include Travis with the Transplants, but not with your Blink pick. Very ingenious way of playlisting there, my friend.
Very much so. I've learned from the best.
Well, you went with Blink-182, so I think the only logical follow-up is going to be, I'm going to go back to my Pop Sucks tour of 2002. You went Blink. I'm going to go with Green Day. Although you went with an album where Blink was going into the mainstream, I'm going to go with the album where Green Day said F the mainstream. And believe it or not, is my favorite Green Day album. I'm going to go off of 1995's Insomniac. And I'm not even going to go with Brain Stew or Geek Stink Breath or Walking Contradiction. I'm going to go with a deep cut from this album. So their most raw, not pop-friendly album, and one of the deepest cuts from it, Babs Uvula Who, which is a reference to an old Saturday Night Live skit. It's one of my favorite Green Day songs of all time. Definitely falls into the underrated category because according to the Green Day Live Guide, it's only been played once, November 3rd, 1995, at the Worcester Memorial Auditorium in Worcester, Massachusetts. Those guys got lucky because this is one of my all-time favorite Green Day songs. And this year, in 2024, they did the Dookie American Idiot in its entirety. I have my fingers crossed that 1995 sees Insomniac in its entirety because I think a lot of people don't realize the brilliance of this raw, unfiltered, against pop punk release from Green Day. It's definitely their angriest album of all time. And I think a fun way to close out Side A.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of their most underrated albums. I was going to say that Nimrod, everybody just kind of pushes to the side and says, oh, well, it's not American Idiot. It's not Dookie. Why are we listening to it? It has some very, very raw, like California punk sound that people don't hear from Green Day often. And I'm not a Green Day fan. I mean, I appreciate them. They're great for the music, but I've never been into them. But that album sounds like an old Black Flag or an Adolescence album from 10 years prior coming out of the Bay Area or California punk scene. I mean, it's got that feel to it. And if you are a fan of 80s California punk, that is the Green Day album I would push at you 100%.
It is the Green Day album I push at anybody who says, where should I start with Green Day? And a lot of people look at me like I have 10 heads because they go, why not American Idiot and Dookie? I said, well, those are the obvious picks. If I'm going to push something forward, I want to push one that might be less than obvious, because if you dig Insomniac, you might become a bigger Green Day fan outside of Dookie and American Idiot.
100%. And I was going to say, it goes the way with their later catalog too, when they did the Uno Dos Tres albums and like the 21 Guns album, stuff like that, that was somewhat mainstream, but didn't really take off like American Idiot or Dookie.
And that, Mixtapers, concludes Side A of the ultimate punk rock workout mixtape, which consists of Smut Peddlers buck naked on a big wheel, don't try this at home, Descendants Bikeage, Dead Kennedys Pull My Strings, Bad Religion's Recipe for Hate, Transplants Tall Cans in the Air, Hot Water Music's Trusty Chords, Rise Against's Give It All, Bouncing Souls, The Gold Song, Blink-182's Josie, and Green Day's Babs Uvula Who. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
From your fryer to the table, it's a quick trip for crispy fries. But how about a crosstown delivery? McCain SureCrisp fries are designed to go from fryer to container to carrier to passenger seat across town during rush hour, down a shortcut that wasn't all that short to a doorstep before they hit the table. And that first bite, the crispiness speaks for itself. To the last bite, McCain SureCrisp fries. Go the distance. See how far our fries can take your business at surecrisp.com/delivery.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
All right, and now we're going to kick off Side B, and I think I'm going to do so in classic style here. I'm going to go with a song that I absolutely loved in middle school all the way up through right this very moment. It's this band's cover of a Johnny Cash classic, which is, in my humble opinion, one of the best cover songs ever. from their 1990 self-titled album and their 2007 Greatest Hits album, that version being a re-recording. I am going to go with Social Distortion's incredible cover of Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. Reached number 25 on the Billboard US Alternative Airplay chart. And there's a chance, a small chance. We also discussed this song on episode 26, the Ultimate Punk Rock Cover Songs playlist, because like I said, one of the best cover songs ever, and it's punk. So yeah, but Social Distortion, man, this is one of those covers that if you're going to cover Johnny Cash, you better do it right. And Mike Ness knocked this one out of the park where even fans of Johnny Cash respect this version. And that's hard to do because Johnny Cash is an outlaw as much as the punk rock genre is in and of itself. And Social Distortion was able to put their stamp on this song and still respect the original.
100%. And Mike Ness is just such a genius. And when you think of lead singers in punk music, he's one of the first ones that come to mind. But I'm going to do something with my next pick. You know, punk rock's all about symbols, you know, bands that have symbols. Misfits has the ghost skull. Social Distortion has the skeleton. And the next band, Black Flag, has its own little logo of 4 little black bars. And I'm going to go with my personal favorite Black Flag song of 1984, Slip It In, Drinking and Driving. This was used in Jackass when Henry Rollins drives around and Steve-O gets a tattoo. It is fast paced. It makes you angry. And it has a good message because it's not about drinking and driving. It's about not doing it. But how pretty much peer pressure will get you in a bad spot every time. It's a fun song. Rollins has a great time singing it when he does it by himself, when he was doing it with Black Flag. It is high energy. And it brings that, you know, punk rock sound right out of Social Distortion. And I know how much you love cover songs. So it turns the tide a little bit and gets us back on the path.
While drinking, of course, apparently.
Yes.
I love this song. I immediately thought of the Jackass scene as soon as you said the title of the track. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And like you said, I want to hit on a point you made. It's interesting, the delivery of this song. And only Henry Rollins can do it this way. Because lyrically, it almost sounds like a let's get drunk and wasted punk rock song. But it's not that, and it's not a straight edge don't drink song. It's somewhere in the gray area that lives between the two. And I think that's the genius of Henry Rollins.
100%. If you do listen to that Slip It In album, there's many songs like that where you're just like, what are they telling me? Are they telling me one thing or another? And the title track from that album is a perfect example. It's a fun album no matter what, but Rollins' delivery is what makes that song so iconic and so bold.
Well, we've got 2 incredibly influential bands to start off side B, Social Distortion and Black Flag. So I think I'm going to keep running with that and go with another extremely influential band and song. Now, this song was never released as a single, but it remains this band's probably most beloved and well-known quote-unquote hit. And it was covered by everybody from the Red Hot Chili Peppers to Ryan Adams, the Dead Milkmen, Mustard Plug, and a band you mentioned earlier, Rancid. This song was inspired by Ian MacKay's short-lived project, Embrace, and not wanting the same thing to happen with Fugazi, he wrote the song Waiting Room about finding the right people at the right moment. And this song, the opening, is so intense. Between this bass line that doesn't know if it wants to be a funk bass line or a punk bass line, but it's one of those bass lines that as soon as you hear it, you're immediately sucked in. And for 20 seconds, the song just builds. And then at the 20-second mark, it pauses for 4 seconds of silence. And then after that uncomfortable moment, it brings you right back in. It's so powerful. It's been featured on Pitchfork's The 200 Best Songs of the 1980s, Blender's The 1001 Greatest Songs to Download Right Now. Pop Matters, The 100 Greatest Alternative Singles of the 1980s. And NME's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. I know it's the obvious on-the-nose pick for Fugazi, but I'm a bass player. What can I say? That bass line is punk rock royalty as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, you hear the first two notes of that song and you instantly know what it is. And it got so bad with this song that my detailer, when I worked in the car dealership as a mechanic, he would play it every day. And I knew how long the song was going to take. I would walk up and get coffee every morning because I got so tired of hearing that bass line.
Oh, man.
Hey, I love it now, but when you hear it every day for 3 years, you're like, I am done. I don't care anymore. I don't care if I hear another Fugazi song ever. But going off incredible bass lines, guitar riffs, I am going to make a pick here that is probably going to get you some hate mail here, Brian.
Oh, no.
I don't know. This band is a pop punk metalish band. And to me, I would consider them pop punk. And the band is A Day to Remember.
Okay.
This comes off For Those Who Have Heart. And it is the heavy guitar riff, the plot to bomb the Panhandle. Now, this is a song that I listen to every time I get ready for a hockey game. I work out. I'm just driving in the car and I'm angry. The riff to it is so heavy and it feels punk-ish. And it's just got a good rhythm and pushback to it where I feel like it fits really well off Fugazi with that bass riff. You can tell me I'm wrong, but I think it works really well. And it's just a fun, very heavy song from a band that has gone away from being as heavy as they used to be.
Yeah, this album is definitely a different beast than some of their newer stuff. But this album actually reached number 17 on the Billboard Top Heatseekers chart, and then the re-release of it hit number 43 on the Billboard Top Independent Albums chart. And that is due to the fact that they put out a cover of Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone from that re-release. And you know what? I think I'm going to have a little fun with this. No, I'm not going to go with their Since You've Been Gone cover, although I love it. I'm going to go with another cover song for this side. Yes, I already did Social Distortion's Ring of Fire, but I'm going to go with another punk band covering a female pop song. But I'm going to go back to their 2001 album, Go. And Jay Sweet and I talked about this song all the way back on episode 10, the Ultimate 2000s Punk Rock playlist. And we are going to go with, is it punk? Is it hardcore? It's a little bit of both. The hidden track, H2O's Like a Prayer, the Madonna cover. This cover is, again, one of my absolute favorites because I'm not going to lie. I know this is a punk rock episode. I actually love Madonna's original Like a Prayer. I always love the song. I love the video. I love everything about it. The song is catchy. The song is a pop anthem of the 90s. Taking it and turning it into a punk rock hardcore song on paper doesn't sound like it could work, but it works so well. I'm shocked more bands have not taken this song and put their stamp on it. And I just love the fact that we get to sneak a band like H2O in this mix because as much as I love them being from the New Jersey, New York area, I feel like the rest of the country and maybe the rest of the world isn't as familiar with H2O as they should be. So I'm hoping by putting this on there, more people get to go down a rabbit hole and discover them because this is one group that I think is just insanely underrated.
Listen, if it wasn't for you, I would have never heard this song. And I love this version. And it's thanks to your podcast I heard it. But Like a Prayer, one of my favorite Madonna songs. It's my go-to karaoke song. And I am so glad you included this because the H2O cover is phenomenal. And they have a whole album of covers that are just insanely good. And I know the one that gets a lot of flack is their I Want to Live Ramones cover. People dog it every time, but I actually enjoy it, being it's, one of the better songs that the Ramones did in that period. But H2O does a great job, and it's just a great song. So thank you for including that one, Brian.
Had to revisit it. It needed to be done. It's
so good. Well, I am going to go with another song to me that it has a lot of energy. It's a very, very near and dear song to me, and it's from the band Lagwagon. And nice. I know Lagwagon gets a lot of love or hate, but I am going to go with Know It All. Now, This song to me, growing up, I played the NCAA video games, and there was one year they had a soundtrack, and they picked a killer soundtrack with Lagwagon, Therapy, NoFX, tons of great punk bands, and got me really into the music. And this song was on that soundtrack, and it has been a staple for almost 20 plus years of me listening to. It's fast paced, it's fun, it brings me back nostalgia as being a kid, and to me, I think Lagwagon is a super underrated band. I think Hoss as an album is one of their better albums. Granted, the song's not off that album, but go listen if you haven't to Hoss through and through, and your views will change on Lagwagon and punk music.
This is actually, you're right, from 1994's Trashed album. I love this one. I love the message. Know It All. Did you really listen to that song? Could you ever write what you call wrong? Right being W-R-I-T-E, not right, R-I-G-H-T. Brilliant lyrics about following a band until they make it big. This band can finally pay their rent, not travel around in a van with a busted up cot in the back of it, finally get to be able to make some money with music as your career, only to be called sellouts. Otherwise known as tall poppy syndrome in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. For those of us in the US, tall poppy syndrome is essentially attacking something simply based on its success. And I'm sorry, I could take this all the way back to Metallica. If you want to go metal, anytime a band breaks into the mainstream, it's happened with Offspring, Green Day, Blink-182, all of these bands that found worldwide success got slagged at some point by their fans as almost being offended that they got to the next level. And I've never understood that, because if a band doesn't get to the next level, there's not a chance that that band will be around in the future, because they might not be able to afford to be around. So this song just nails that message, and I love the pick.
100%. I mean, even Alice in Chains dogged Metallica for cutting their hair. So other bands dog other bands.
Well, following up Lagwagon, I'm going to go with another song that might catch some flack, because this song created a rift between the band that I'm about to choose, which was mentioned by one of our Patreon mixtapers, and a song, Tom, by a band that you picked, Rise Against. And the song I'm going to choose is by Against Me. Shout out once again to Patreon mixtaper Sean Goff, who chimed in with Transgender Dysphoria Blues, which is an awesome tune. I love it. But coming out of Lagwagon, I got to go with I Was a Teenage Anarchist off of 2010's White Crosses. I think it hits perfectly in this spot, with no disrespect to Sean's pick. I love it. Garbage's Butch Vig produced this song, and it shows in the production of the album. I love Butch Vig's production work. I mean, you hear it on Nirvana's Nevermind. You hear it on the Foo Fighters' Wasting Light. Against Me sounds incredible on this album. And White Crosses as a whole, I'm probably going to catch flack for this too, might be my favorite Against Me album. But the rift that it caused was because of the lyrics, do you remember when you were young and you wanted to set the world on fire? In 2011, on Rise Against's track Architects, they expanded on those lyrics, saying, do you remember when you were young and you wanted to set the world on fire? Somewhere deep down, I know you do. Do you remember when you were young and you wanted to set the world on fire? Well, I Still Am and I Still Do. So there was a little bit of a punk rock riff going on between these two bands, but regardless, I think we got a lot of kick-ass music out of it, whatever side you're on.
100%. You scoot me on Against Me. So what I had from them was a Call to Enemies. That's my favorite
Nice.
Against Me
Another
song.
good pick.
But, it's hard to pick which side you want to be on with Rise Against and Against Me because I love both bands very much. And they do a great job. But I'm going to kick it back a little bit because there's one band that I kind of noted on when we talked about H2O's cover, and that was the Ramones. I personally love this song. School of Rock made me fall in love with this song, and that's Bonzo Goes to Bitburg.
Yes.
It's about President Reagan, and I believe Joey Ramone wrote this song about being angry with Ronald Reagan. And it was re-released as My Head is Hanging Upside Down or something along those lines because they didn't want to keep throwing it out there at Reagan because it's kind of a slam against him. And when it was used in School of Rock, that's kind of when it started going by its old title. But it's just a great song. You have the chime in, the heavy guitar riff, and it's something that I like to work out to. It's a good cool down song for me, and it gets me thinking about where I want to be at with this workout or how I want to play this hockey game. It's a very good mind-setting song for me.
I think you and I would be doing a disservice to punk rock and to working out if we didn't include the Ramones on this list. I personally had Do You Remember Rock and Roll Radio in my bank of songs because I discovered, I kid you not, I discovered that song on one of my parents' old K-Tel albums called Rock 80. And it was one of my favorite songs as a kid. I used to stomp around the living room to Do You Remember Rock and Roll Radio, one of my favorite Ramones songs ever. But Bonzo's another killer track, and it keeps that same energy, just, I don't know, minus the horn section, if you will.
Yeah, very much. But you get, I don't know if it's a xylophone, but you get some kind of chiming in instead of horns. So
yeah, there you go.
You trade one for the other.
Perfect. I'll take it. And now we're down to one pick each. And I'm really concerned right now because there's a song that I think should close out this playlist, especially because we're recording in 2024. And I want to pick it, but I just have a feeling because their name has popped up a couple of times in discussion tonight that I think you're going to be on the same wavelength as me. And I hope you are. If not, I'm going to take that risk. And I'm going to pivot out of the Ramones because we haven't gotten any Irish punk into the mix. So I'm going to go out in style with my last pick of the evening with Dropkick Murphys' 2011 title track, Going Out in Style, which features Fat Mike from NoFX. Excuse me, had something in my throat there. Chris Cheney from The Living End and actor Lenny Clark in the vocals. But this is a chorus that's a sing-along of epic proportions. A lot of Dropkick Murphy stuff is, but for a workout mix, Going Out in Style just does that for me. I could really give a shit. I'm going out in style for my last pick of the evening. Dropkick Murphys, baby.
Oh, such a wonderful pick and such a wonderful band, a band that I have loved and loved for many years. But catching your drift and kind of reading your mind.
Was I obvious with my hints?
You were very, very clear, and I would never leave this band off a list. I knew I was going last, and I wanted to slam the door shut with NoFX. These guys are leaving us to never tour again, in air quotes, because you know how Motley Crue did that multiple times.
Yeah, I don't ever believe that sentence. Some 41's doing it as well. I don't believe it. It's only a matter of time. Motley Crue, Linkin Park. I feel like even Led Zeppelin, after many years, did the 2007 reunion at the O2. I in my heart, I don't want to believe that it's the end of NoFX. So go on.
No,
I'm sorry.
I will never not love this song. And it comes off 1994's Punk and Drublic. It is Linoleum.
Yes.
My absolute favorite song that NoFX has done, and everybody's going to go, oh, it's their most popular. It's the most popular for a reason. It's covered constantly. You go to YouTube, there's 200 pages of Linoleum covers. Even NoFX made a stab at it and made a music video during the pandemic with Avenged Sevenfold about how many bands have covered this song. It's a wild one. If you haven't seen it, it's a good one. And Streetlight Manifesto does the best cover, but the original will always stay near and dear to my heart. I love this song. I have sat and cried to this song. I have worked out to this song. I have enjoyed this song through and through. And I think this is the absolute best way to end this mixtape and send NoFX off with a thank you and a goodbye.
Closing our playlist out with the opening track from Punkin Drublic, my closest friend. Guitar World actually ranks the Punkin Drublic album number 4 on the 51 most essential pop punk albums of all time, and Kerrang ranks it number 6 on their 51 greatest pop punk albums ever. One of the band's most iconic songs, and it's a song without a chorus, a very NoFX thing to do. I mentioned Sum 41. In LA, Sum 41 covered Linoleum as a way to tip their hat to both bands kind of quote unquote going out in style. I'm glad you took my hint there. It was really on the nose, and I'm sure the punk fans out there listening are kind of groaning at the fact that I really lobbed that one to you, but I'm so glad you did it, because considering NoFX is calling it a day in 2024, and again, I'll use air quotes on that because we just don't know, what a fitting way to close out the ultimate punk rock workout mixtape, where side B kicked off with Social Distortion's Ring of Fire, Black Flag's Drinking and Driving, Fugazi's Waiting Room, A Data Remembers the Plot to Bomb the Panhandle, H2O's Like a Prayer, Lagwagon's Know It All, Against Me's I Was a Teenage Anarchist, Ramones' Bonzo Goes to Bitburg, Dropkick Murphys Going Out in Style, and NoFX's Linoleum. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page.
This episode is brought to you by Etsy.
Oh.
Hear that?
Okay. Thank you.
Etsy knows these aren't the sounds of holiday gifting. Well, not the ones you're hoping for. You want squeals of delight. Happy tears.
How did you?
And spontaneously written songs of joy.
I am so happy. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, the song needs a bit of work, but anyway, to get those reactions, make sure everyone on your list feels heard with handmade, handpicked, and designed gifts from small shops on Etsy. Gifts like personalized jewelry, custom artwork, cozy style items, vintage pieces, and home decor to celebrate all of your favorite people and their specific kind of special. For original gifts that say, I get you, Etsy has it.
The holiday season officially starts when you get that first card in the mail. Shutterfly makes it easy to add more meaning to the everyday with hundreds of holiday card designs that can be personalized in seconds with your favorite photos from this year. Select your greeting, customize the color, and even add little extras like personalized foil to make a holiday card that really shines. Enjoy 40% off with code SMILE40 at Shutterfly.com and send something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write a million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Tom, as I've said before, I'll say it once again. First off, thank you so much for being such a huge part of the Patreon Mixtaper family. And once again, thank you for joining me on My Weekly Mixtape. Look forward to having you back in the near future, man.
Absolutely, Brian. It's always a pleasure. I love the Patreon guys. I love talking with everybody, throwing songs out there and just enjoying it every week. So thank you for having me again. And I can't wait till we do the next one.
Looking forward to it. And to those listening, remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And again, if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or like Tom, becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can enjoy ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to upcoming episodes, chime in on future topics, become a guest curator, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.